What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, you know, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time.
All right. It's that White Walker, dude.
I was gonna. So it's a cross between White Walker and Green Apple Quick Step, or what is it?
No, Green Apple Ice, dude.
Green Apple
Icy
Ice.
Apple. I don't vape like Rice Krispie treat or Girl Scout. I remember this tough like redneck guy in mossy oak camouflage one day. I was out in front of the shop vaping. He's like, "What you got there, dog?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's a strong menthol. It's called White Walker." And he's like, "I got Girl Scout cookies." Like I don't know if we were supposed to clink our vapes together, like you cheers, like or something. And I was like, "All right, dude." Like, yeah, that's my fucking life
cookies
now, dude. Because I don't smoke cigarettes. So they're like, "What you got in there? Got that strawberry tart?" I got strawberry tart, dude. I
got some peach cobbler over here.
I got the. Yeah, exactly. Got the Queen's favorite.
They're like ice cream flavors.
Berries and cream.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yo, play. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Happy Friday. We're recording this on President's Day. I hope everybody had a good long weekend and got an extra day of fun. I worked at the bar last night, and people were partying and whooping it up and having a good time.
Where were they?
Well, it's because the Sunday is like an extra Saturday, right? So everybody can go out and doesn't have to go to work the next day. And but nothing to report. Everybody was well behaved and enjoyed themselves. So
nothing's changed in drinking.
No, nothing's changed. I was out of it for 6 months. But I've also been tending bar for like 15 years, and so nothing's changed.
Oh, you're out of the bar for 6 months. You're working in a bar.
Yeah, working in a bar. And by the way, I wanted to say too that I found Annie Grace on Facebook, the This Naked Mind.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to her. I really got to get that book and check it out. I'm super interested.
Yeah.
Yeah, and her whole thing, I love her whole thing is about like with no judgment, no pain, just talking about alcohol on the brain and stuff like that. And so, so she shared this article about being a sober bartender, and it was really good. It was really good.
Check it out. Yeah.
For those of you out there listening, you're probably listening either because you are an alcoholic, you think you are an alcoholic, you're interested in alcoholism, more so sobriety and recovery. But Annie Grace,
or just you accidentally took a left turn and you thought we'd have good drink recipes and tell you fun stories, and you're like, wait a second, these guys they're not saying they're alcoholics. Ironically,
not like Exhibit, no.
No.
But although I found some weird podcasts that way, things that I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, and they're like, hey, it's time to party down, bro. Get on your beer hat. And you're like, I retired the beer hat, man.
Mm-hmm. So if you could just real quick, as we always like to say, please rate and review us on iTunes, wherever else you listen to this. Please
recommend us to friends.
That's the biggest way that we get this out to folks.
Right.
Is for you sharing it with other people.
Right.
Whether
Yeah. I was gonna say, if you're in 12-step program, just don't share it during the meeting during your share.
Yeah, that's probably
don't
not.
Do that.
That's not cool. I mean, maybe after in the parking lot.
Yeah, after you haven't
with your White Walker.
Kick you out. Yeah, with your White Walker vape juice. Yo, hit me up, Seduce Juice.
Seduce Juice? Is that another one?
Seduce Juice. That's the name of the company that makes it. You want to be a sponsor in this program,
right? Also, speaking of sponsors, greencamelpress.com. Go there, check it out. I still got t-shirts in the trunk of my car. I'm not lying. I swear I'm going to get them up on the website one of these days. My model keeps calling out on me. I think I'm just going to have to model them myself.
Right.
And take some selfies. That's not the most professional way, but anyhow, I got t-shirts for sale, bro.
He's got them for sale. Are they green?
They're candy. Speaking of candy apple ice, they're candy apple green. So this is beautiful candy apple green with our logo on the front, the website on the back. They're super soft. My friend Tom has one. He was the first one to get one, and he said they were soft AF, which I think means as fuck.
Yeah, I think so. Or as felt.
As felt. Soft as felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, there goes my mind. Yeah. But yeah, so he really enjoys his. Go check us out, greencamelpress.com. And with that, we are going to start today's show. The letter of the week is H. Is that right? It's H? Are we on?
H.
And H is for handle your liquor, handle your booze.
Yeah.
And we wanted to talk about sort of the relationship of alcohol and alcoholic drinking in masculinity, in the myth of machismo, growing up as a man, and it is generally speaking men, not always, and it certainly happens to women too, but men are the ones that they drink more often, they're more affected by alcoholism.
Right. We can only speak from our perspective too. It'd be difficult for me to speak from a woman's perspective in regards to drinking. We could throw out facts and stuff, but that's not really our personal experience.
No. So another thing, guys, and gals out there, everybody listening, as a disclaimer, I'm not an expert. I'm not a professional. I'm a professional drinker, or I was. So, I would just suggest that whatever you hear, wherever you're at, do your own research and find things out for yourself. So hopefully we can help you with that. But this is again just coming from our own personal experiences.
Right. And we're two men.
Yes.
We're like two dudes.
Two dudes.
Yeah.
So one of the things I want to, if we were going to talk about, I guess the phrase that a lot of people use is toxic masculinity, right? So and this is basically, I feel like, and I don't give a shit what kind of razors you shave your face with.
Right.
But, it's, I guess it's basically just saying bad behavior, right? That's kind of what we're saying. That's generally attributed to men.
It's being a dick that's rooted in masculinity. It's
right.
not just generally being a dick. It's like being a dick because you have a dick.
Very good.
Thanks.
And so masculinity, if we're going to talk about it in terms of alcohol, I wanted to read something I found that was basically just these masculine norms in our culture, in America, in the United States. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to read a few of these to you, and you tell me if these sound valid to you for us. But striving to win at all costs, sexual prowess, controlling one's emotions, and this is a big one when it comes to alcohol, engaging in risk-taking behavior, an inclination toward physical aggression, asserting influence over situations, control, proclivity toward independence, regarding work as the main priority in life, controlling women, aversion to being perceived by others as being gay, which I know you were going to talk a little bit too about, your experience in some of the groups that you were in, but and the desire to be important in society, right? Pursuit of status.
Right.
So these all seem like, right? These all seem kind of...
Most of them. Some of them don't. Some of them do. Yeah.
But that's kind of...
Yeah, these are what the
hallmarks of masculinity in our culture.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. The hallmarks of masculinity.
The phrase that they use is salient norms.
What's this from?
This is from the website. It's a very good question. It is from, hang on. It was a study, Alcoholism and Masculinity, the NCBI, which is the, what is the NCBI? That's a very good question. National, no. So you
Charter.
So you can see, like I said, you should always do your own research. But, hang on.
The National Charter of Balls Incorporated.
The National National Center for Biotechnology Information.
Oh, I forgot the T.
Yes. Well, the biotechnology is one word.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. Fuck.
So when you think about all these things, right? Like, and you think about drinking, and so it's this, and the idea of being able to handle your liquor, being able to handle your booze.
That trope
of being. That means you're strong. That means you're tough. That means you can drink to excess.
Right.
And this happens. It happened for me and for you at a very young age.
Yes.
And when I think a lot of the situation that's often referenced is people in fraternities. Now, I was never in a fraternity, and I didn't go to college. I mean, I took that jazz history class. That was pretty cool that I didn't finish.
I forgot about that. Yeah, your jazz history class.
Did I make you go watch the teacher at that rooftop club or something like that? Did I bring you to a jazz?
I don't think I was allowed to go.
Oh.
I think I might have been too drunk or drinking, and you were like, I'm not. You took somebody else.
I don't know. But
I think I should talk shit about it. I was like, I'm not going to go watch your teacher play jazz on somebody's roof.
So it's a lot of it is about fraternities, right? And so you have kids. So you have kids who are, say, or young men that are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 that are teaching kids 2 and 3 years younger than them how to be men.
Yes.
Right? And so that's not really, I don't feel like that you should be learning how to be a man as an 18-year-old from a 22-year-old, because if a 22-year-old was going to tell me how to be a man, I would ask them to politely keep moving, Yeah,
like hey, will you just bought us the beer. Will you shut up, dude, and leave so we can drink the beer without you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there's this idea that they're being taught all these social norms about what it is to be a man, and one of those is handling your liquor. So what does handling your liquor mean? It means you have a tolerance for it, right?
Right.
And so how do you develop a tolerance? I mean, you drink to excess.
Right.
I remember a couple of different times drinking an entire bottle of liquor and not feeling drunk.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know if you've had that experience.
It was a long process for me. It was never like, I'm going to drink this bottle of liquor in 3 hours, but I definitely had killed a fifth like in 8 hours throughout the entire day and been like, well, I'm kind of buzzed, but I should have drank that much faster.
But, so like, what is that? I mean, tolerance is not really something that, I mean, I guess that I would ever consider being proud of now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah, it's not even something I think about now, honestly.
But when
do you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
When you and I were younger and drinking heavily, it was always about like one up and how many can we drink and let's pound. When you think about the terminology of it too, we're gonna go pound some beers, we're gonna go slam some shots.
Well,
there's all
dude,
this...
it was like we really only wanted to drink during the week, during the day, because Friday and Saturday was amateur night because they couldn't hold their liquor.
Right.
And so we wanted to be around that upper echelon of drinkers who could drink at 2:00 on a Tuesday, who could hold their liquor. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even though the guys, wheeling an oxygen tank around or
right
snuck out of dialysis or whatever to be at the fucking smoke shop on fucking Ballard Ave,
And it was, and that too is like we ended up, and I don't know if this was directly related, but I know that we ended up creating and developing these lives and these careers and our schedules around the ability to do that, to be able to go out on a Monday afternoon rather than, it's like, no, I'm busy all weekend, man. Whatever our particulars were, it was like my whole schedule. I based my life around being able to drink when the real drinkers could be there.
Word, because you're like, I'm not gonna drink with all these kids on Friday and Saturday. I'm serving them drinks on Friday and Saturday.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Or you'd be tattooing on the weekends when people would be out spending their money.
So I'm like, I'm not gonna be with this amateur hour shit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny. Masculinity is such a weird topic, right? Because I mean, even now we are socially questioning what it is and looking into it and kind of trying to figure out the guts of the thing. It's very interesting, right? Because I keep thinking of the female equivalent of that, or what is femininity in drinking, which there are hallmarks of that as well. But it's usually stereotypically like the wine mom, or all the girls letting loose on a Saturday night,
bachelorette parties, stuff like that.
Yeah, but once again, it's hard for me to speak on. I'm just from my end of it. Yeah, definitely, it was definitely a way to prove that I was masculine, because I did not grow up stereotypically masculine. Like, I was never stereotypically. When you bring up the hallmarks of toxic masculinity, I had to really put myself in there as far as drinking went, because those weren't personality things that I exhibited sober, but there were absolute things in there that I exhibited while drinking.
Right.
Yeah, the one that stuck out to me, and you had mentioned it too in regards to me, was like the fear of being looked at as gay, which never bothered me. The place I grew up since I wasn't stereotypically masculine, I was already looked at as gay. So like, to me, I was like, oh, you think I'm gay? I don't care. Like, you will anyway, just because I'm not doing those things that you do. But when you said it had I'm losing the word. No. But when you said it had pertained to me in that sense, it's because my first home group, as far as getting sober, was the gay and lesbian home group. I felt more comfortable there. I still feel comfortable there.
Yeah.
I just don't attend that one schedule change or whatever. But whenever we would do our shares, your third share of every month, it was in regards to your sexuality and how alcoholism affected it, or how you dealt with your sexuality. And me being like one of the lone straight guys, I'd always, express my sense of masculinity through drinking. The amount I could drink. I could look at these guys who beat me up in high school, and those guys, would drink fucking 3 Bud Light Limes and get shit canned, and I could fucking do 3/4 of a fifth of Beam and be like, okay, so what? When do we take our pants off? Like, what's up? And when do we, like, it was just still last man standing.
Yeah.
That was my whole justification for a lot of it in the early days. Yeah.
A lot of people, I never, being thought of as gay, happened to me. I wouldn't say a lot. Yeah, I mean, I guess
well, not
so.
a lot, but it would happen.
But yeah, it was
I remember
something,
people would ask you if you were
like,
gay,
"He's
and I'm
gay,"
like,
because I rarely had a girlfriend. And I never went out. For me, drinking, and I think maybe we've talked about this, it was all about going out drinking. Was all about the drinking. When I would work in 10 bar, and you would see guys who were out trying to pick up girls and meet women and do all this stuff, I was never interested in that. That was never on the schedule.
Got away the booze for you.
Yeah, man. I was like, I have money in my pocket. I need to go out and I need to get as drunk as possible to prove to, I don't know who, to myself or whatever. So, I mean, being mistaken or thought of as gay, like, it has, I want to say that it didn't bother me, but there was always this sort of like, fuck, dude, well, what am I doing wrong, right? So as a young person, as a young guy, and I'm just trying to figure shit out on my own, and then I'm throwing all this alcohol on the fire of being confused, and then the childhood trauma, and then all the stuff, and you're like, what does all this mean? That's I don't care anymore, but at the time it was like, fuck, what am I doing here, and how do I express myself?
Well,
is it okay? Is it okay to express myself if that's how people perceive me? And then but because at that time, 20 years ago, it wasn't cool, man, and so you kind of have to stop behaving in a certain way, and you start behaving more aggressively, or and I was all about like how much I wanted the party to never end, so I was like, fuck it, I'll go.
Yeah.
Bar closes at 2 a.m. Good thing I got liquor stash back at the house. We got drugs. We can stay up till noon the next day, and oh, you got something that can help me stay up till Wednesday.
Take
cool.
it. Yeah, I'll
take
it. Yeah, the fucking wheels are gonna fall off this thing tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And would you say that was a reflection of your masculinity? That you would be like, yeah, I will stay up till Wednesday with whatever substance you have.
Absolutely. That was exactly how I was trying to. Yeah, I was trying to express
yourself
it
in that way. Yeah.
Sure. And it never. I mean, it was not. There was nothing of any value in that, other than maybe like the one or two people who might have been there, and then sometimes it would be like, I've been up drinking and it's noon. And let me call some friends who are kind of normal who might meet me for breakfast or something or lunch.
Yeah, so I can drink a little more around
people. Yeah, exactly, right? Mm-hmm. Just trying to find anybody to spend time with. So there's that idea of like trying to find connections with people. It was excruciating. And one of the other things is like the idea of having control, right? And this is a couple of different ways. One is alcoholics, we like to control everything that we can. Yes. If the world would just bend to my will, everything would be just fine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
I know non-alcoholics like that, but I'm also like, yeah, we'll see.
But one of the things that, it says is like being in control is a sign of masculinity. So if I drink this substance that is designed to make me lose control, but I can stay in control, then I'm masculine. But that's inevitably you're going to pass out. You're going to act a fool. You're not going to be able to handle, quote unquote, handle your liquor.
No.
And liquor shouldn't be a problem if you can't. Nobody should be handling liquor at those volumes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, but how fucking manly is it that fucking Travis just drank a whole bottle of Fireball and then he fell in the fire? Like
yeah.
We all tell that story forever.
And what is the? I don't have statistics on the amount of people that die of alcohol poisoning every year in the U.S. and the all that stuff. But I can't imagine. If it's like one person, it's too much. I think this idea that I have to hitch the size of my dick to a fucking bottle of whiskey is kind of ridiculous.
Exactly. It is super ridiculous, but therein lies the problem of even just not masculinity itself, but toxic masculinity. Just the gender. I mean, I think about the gender roles that we have placed ourselves societally. And then, I'm like I said, I'm no expert on it. I ponder these things a lot, though. And like you had referenced the razor commercial. And to me, I saw the razor commercial and I was like, I think I said it last week. I'm like, I'm more offended that your razors are fucking expensive than that you're just trying to say, don't be a dick. Mm-hmm. But since people thought they were putting it on a gender and they're like, hey, stop being a fucking dick out there, you fucking assholes. People got really upset about that. And I didn't, because I didn't feel attacked, because I'm not out there acting like a fucking dick. At least as far as I know I'm not. Maybe I am, and no one's told me yet, but I mean, I feel like I'm not. So it's weird, these constructs we put ourselves societally, that men do this and women do this, and it's stupid. It's always been stupid. Even when I was a kid, it was fucking dumb, yeah.
Well, yeah. I like... Growing up, I like things like poetry and sad songs and Morrissey and the thing, all the things that you and I connected on and became friends over.
You're right.
And things like doing doing art is not really I mean, there's certain, but then when you look at the people who were like Jackson Pollock, he was an artist and he was a pretty manly man, and what happened to him?
Right. Or Hunter S., shooting his books with paint cans next to him and being like, it's art. I'm making art, But, yeah, those things always escaped me. I didn't like hunting. I didn't like being physical. I didn't like wrestling. I don't like roughhousing. I don't like fighting. I don't like being touched just generally. So I don't know how the fuck we're going to get drunk and wrestle, dog. But, like, those things that were stereotypically what men do had no interest to me, They never really did.
No.
They never did. So through alcohol, I found solace in that I could, I have this one thing that I have in common with other men. I can stand around with other men and be like, yeah, I like that scotch. I like that whiskey. Oh, yeah, that beer's okay. Or just stand around with other men silently and drink beer. You know what I mean? I had that. That justified, like, who I was as a person, you know? And it's all, like, I always say every episode at least once, I'm like, it's all bullshit. It's all fake. It's all set dressing.
And these
know,
would be
like,
men that, you know, in other aspects you might look at and go, these are real men that I can
Right.
stand with because...
Yes, and make myself look like a real dude, too. And, you know, there's no dirt under my nails, man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to work a shovel, you know, or whatever. Like, you know, with all these ranchers growing up down there in on the border in Arizona, it's like I had no interest in any of that. I wanted to paint things and draw things and read and think about things. And I would cry when sad songs would come on, even as a little boy, you know. And so
Yeah.
I was one of them sensitive ones. You ever watch that show Big Mouth on Netflix?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, well, it's a long thing, but basically, at one point, one of the boys, this hormone monster, is like, "Oh, you're one of them sensitive boys," you know, and that was absolutely me, you know. And so, for me, if I could pour whiskey on it, then I had something to talk to the other dudes about, and I wouldn't feel so bad about myself.
About
you
being
know? I wouldn't feel
sensitive, like that was a bad thing.
Being a sensitive boy, you know. I still get it now. Like, damn, you're so fuck. I like to dress nice. I like to comb my fucking hair and wear ties and maybe wear some shoes that may be a little too pointy. I don't know. Whatever people are judging me on, you know, I like those things. You know, that doesn't take away from me and my value as a person. You know, so.
I think that's one thing too in recovery is this idea of, well, it's okay to cry, man, and crying is just like getting the poison out. You know?
It really is, yeah.
And so when you do it a few times and you're like, oh my God, that feels great, and you don't realize that's like, I don't know, probably more than 20 years. It probably goes deeper than your whole drinking career, and you're just like,
fuck yeah,
finally letting this out, and you're like, oh my God, you mean I don't have to be tough all the time? Like,
yeah. Not that either of us ever were. I fucking love I love New Order, dude. I love New Order. That's all I'm saying. Like, I you know, like, yeah, neither of us were. But yeah, it's funny, the idea of even just expressing yourself emotionally could be considered a detriment to you as far as like how you are as a man. Like, that's weird as fuck to me. It's always been weird. That being said, I'm not walking around the tattoo shop crying, you know, because I know they're all gonna fucking roast my ass. But you know, like I've maybe that's even with it's a difficult thing to tackle, or even to just kind of. I guess we're just discussing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that we're gonna solve anything,
weird.
but
no, we ain't solving shit. I mean,
but I feel the same way about, like, you know, it wasn't until I sobered up and really started going like, it's okay to be sensitive and it's okay to cry and it's okay to, like, you know, New Order, or God, when I want to go out in the backyard, or like not even the backyard, the front yard here, and there's all these fucking deer, and I just sit with them and have this like really sweet, peaceful moment, or when the sheep are like out there fucking eating the weeds in the vineyards, and I'm like, look at the little sheepies, oh, they're so cute, you know,
just embracing life, dude. You know, you gotta embrace life, man.
And I will say this, and I part of all that, because now I feel much more at ease with those parts of me that are very sensitive and are very like loving and caring and kind, and things that we expect from the feminine in our society.
Right.
And there shouldn't be anything wrong. There isn't anything wrong with me being caring and loving and kind.
I think that's one of the best things about going into recovery, you know, being in a 12-step or just being around other people in recovery, is that's the place where you can like kind of tear yourself open a little bit around other people, and it's all right, you know, because they've been there, they know that feeling. And no way am I advocating, oh, you need 12-step. It's just been helpful for me in that way, and that's the correlation I've seen between the two, is being more in touch with what isn't here. You know, we as alcoholics, we carry around a lot of hurt. I mean, you're not an alcoholic because things are going great. You know what I mean? And if you are, hit me up, because God damn, good for you, you know. But like, usually, you know, you're drinking that much at one point you're drinking that much because you have to, but there's a reason why you started drinking that much, you know, and it, you know, there's not good shit going on.
No, there's not.
Heart, you know,
there's, I just love that you're not an alcoholic because things are going well.
Yeah.
One of the things I wanted to say about being sensitive, and I have this feeling every once in a while when things get really bad for me, and they're not really bad. I am very well off. You know, I have a home and a bed and warm water, hot water. I have food. Like, I'm doing fine. But when, you know, emotionally and mentally things get really bad, there's a part of me that, like, there's that struggle where I'm like, I really wish that I could just cut that fucking part out of my brain. The part that is so overly sensitive about things.
Yeah, I've been there.
When I wake up feeling exhausted and tired and I already slept and then I have to go to work and everybody is shitty and everybody's awful and then I get off of work late and then I run over the skunk and I'm just like fucking crying because I killed this animal and there was nothing I could do. And it's like, and I'm like, I wish I could cut that out of my brain. But if I cut that out of my brain, then all the other good stuff, I can't feel that either.
Right.
So I don't have a choice. I don't get to do that. But I mean, every once in a while I get those feelings of like, I just don't want to fucking feel anymore.
Right. But that's like that drunk in you that wants you to compartmentalize all that shit, you know? It's just like, man, I can't pour fucking absinthe on it or whatever. That absinthe thing was a callback to a conversation earlier, but
but it's a tough thing sometimes, but it's a really beautiful thing other times. And I don't think I'm so grateful for the ability to be able to, you know, be as sensitive as I am. And I'm sure that my girlfriend would tell you the same thing. She's
right,
you know, and to be able to work in and do art, you know, art itself is something that is, you don't really do. Very rarely are you doing it to make the money, you know?
Yeah.
It's something that you really love and it's an expression of yourself. And it's something that a lot of people don't understand. And honestly, a lot of people don't like, and a lot of people don't give a shit, which maybe, I don't know if that's worse, but, so just being able to express yourself is such a great thing. And I feel like that alcohol just tangles that all up.
Yeah.
It makes you.
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah.
And so I guess that's the biggest thing for me, is just that idea of being able to share the things that I love with people and not feel somehow emasculated, or I don't have to be put down anymore. Mm-hmm. And also, I'm going to be 42, and it's a little bit different these days than it was when I was 22.
Well, yeah, at 22, if you ran over a skunk and then felt sad about it for a week, we'd all be like, shut the fuck up about your skunk. And now I feel bad for you. I'm like, damn, dude, you're feeling that. Like, I'm sorry, man.
Really
that must have been hard.
Much?
Yeah, it's just going. Yeah. We're like, just drink up, Johnny. Get over it. God damn, rub some dirt on it and get back in the game.
That's what we used to say. Rub some dirt on it, get back in the game. And
what are you getting all butthurt about?
That may be an important thing to do during the middle of a baseball game but
they really need you to win, because that's the only way you can keep the summer camp open.
What movie is that?
All of them.
All of them.
Terms of endearment.
You know, one of the other things is that we talked about at the beginning of the show is I said asserting control over situations.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know how you felt about it when you were drinking.
Well, that was a side effect, right? I wasn't drinking to assert control. In some extent, I was, in regards to, like, I would talk to people and they'd be like, you want to do mushrooms? And I'm like, fuck no, I hate being out of control. I'm going to go drink all this whiskey, you know, because I felt like I was in control of my buzz. You know, I wasn't just being taken for a ride by these drugs you're all doing. Like, I get to fucking be in the driver's seat. But definitely had to assert control over situations as a side effect of drinking excessively. A side effect of my alcoholism was like, I need to micromanage every aspect of what is happening right now, or I will fucking have a meltdown and take it out on everybody.
Like before, after, during drinking, you're talking about what, like work and family or
all of it. Everything. Yeah. Like anything that was on my mind, it would stick in my mind like a needle in my shoe, and I could not find rest until I controlled that thing, whatever it was that was on my mind. But yeah, it was usually like while I was drunk or why I was drinking, you know, or even if with us and we'd be out on a night and I'd be like, this night needs to go the way I want it to go. And I need it to go my way. And then, of course, you and I would always have conflict because you wanted it to go your way. And I'd be like, I'm not here with you. You're here with me, you know? And so, yeah, that was absolutely, ouch. That was absolutely like our dynamic a lot of the times was, yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm not here with you. You're here with me.
Yeah, exactly, you know? But I would always follow you because I was broke and you had money. So I'd be like, well, I guess we're going to that bar with a bowl of hot nuts.
Yeah.
I loved you. I mean, I still love you. I love drinking with you. But I was also like, well, you know, I want to get really fucked up. And I have like literally have $10. And John will forget that he's buying me drinks. So yeah, let's do this, you know.
You know, I also knew a lot of not that you didn't. I mean, this is really not a competition. But
we knew them in different ways, though. Because I knew them as a patron. You knew them as a compatriot, right?
So, yeah, so a lot of, I know a lot of bartenders and bar people. And so it was always like, we'd always get a free round or...
Right, and they wouldn't hook me up because I was your hanger-on. I was like part of your entourage. So they're like, what the fuck do we need to... That little fat guy over there gets no booze. But you'll be like, hey, give me a shot of Rumplemans for old fucking sad fat guy over here.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
so that was always... That was the plus, right? That was part of the... Let me find a career that will help facilitate the drinking
this process, right? And then what's more masculine in your end than being a bartender too?
It was like,
hey, I'm Tom Cruise,
right?
You know, I was always our joke. Yeah.
They if you've ever seen the movie Cocktail and for what it is and the time that it came out and there's a lot of great lines and it's but it's if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out.
Especially if you're Gen Y. If you're one of these younger kids in your 20s, watch this weird-ass shit. It is weird.
Speaking of which, and I don't normally like to do a promo in the middle of the episode, but, you know, Jerry and I on our Patreon, we do movie reviews about movies revolving around alcohol, and I didn't think about Cocktail, but go see Cocktail, go check it out. I think Jerry and I are probably going to do a little review of Cocktail. Which should be fun.
Maybe we will. Because Tom Cruise is not an alcoholic character. Oh, it is. It does, doesn't it? I have not seen it in about 20 years. So I'm good.
I don't want to give away anything, but it's a very up and down movie. But yeah, so one of the things is he's a rock star bartender, right? And so but I just remember like them saying, "Oh, the bartenders." Brian Brown says they're the aristocrats of the working class, and I was like,
"Oh, geez,
fuck yeah, I am." Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly.
You are, yeah.
Oh, geez, is the that's the correct reaction to that.
Come on, dog. You're a dishwasher that can make a vodka cran. You got it. You know, like nowadays that's how I see it, which is mean. Some people really put their heart in it, but I'm just
and that's great. I have no problem with people who put their heart in it.
Absolutely get out there and do your passion.
Do your passion, and if you can do it amazingly, then great. But for me, it is a job that I know how to do well and can get paid a decent wage. And you know what? If I think about last night, I really was just a dishwasher that could make a vodka cran.
Yeah, my apologies to the bartenders out there, but you know, like. I don't know.
Jerry has a different perspective. He has a different relationship with them.
I was always jealous because they'd never let me bartend. I was like, why can't I? Oh, right, because I have a tattoo career. That's kind of like the same thing in a weird way.
Well, it is.
Same
very much
people.
So.
I meet a lot of the same people. But
it was a huge ego boost for me. It was not only, it was definitely attached to my identity as a man, as a drinker, as, you know, all of those things. It was like I had reached the apex of existence as far as I was concerned.
Right.
I was a bartender.
You're masculine as fuck.
And what's more manly than controlling all of the booze?
Boom. I'm here in control. Oh, what? You ordered that wrong? Sorry. I'm going to ignore you now for another 20 minutes. Yeah.
And have 3 feet of, marble between me and you. I'm, I'm in a fortress with all the booze, and you're trying to get in there, and I have, so yeah, there's a lot of aggression, a lot of masculinity in it. There was a lot of control, and certainly when things got out of control, and they always did, right? I mean,
yeah, you're in a bar.
Everything gets out of control, but even like just drinking, I mean, we were never in control.
Oh yeah, no.
It was this illusion that you were like in control for the first 3 drinks, and then the next 6 were probably fine if your tolerance was up that week, depending on
how much money I had for booze. Right. Yeah, and then the next 4, I don't know, man. Maybe Dexter's Dark Passenger took over or something.
Right.
Just walk around in a fugue state. Just, yeah, exactly. Like Ted Bundy's fucking Intruder or whatever he called it. It's just like, well,
did he have one too? He had.
Yeah, I can't remember. I only listened to part of that thing. I was
okay.
annoyed. Yeah, Ted Bundy annoys me. But anyway, that's besides the point. Basically, it's like the fugue state where it's just like, well, you're along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you better enjoy those limeritas because that's all you got, and they're under your bed. What the fuck, like. And every week we laugh about this, but it's kind of fucking funny. Like, damn, that's where I was,
It's funny, it's sad, and so if you're listening,
it's like a funny, sad thing.
Yeah, I mean, we laugh about it because we made it out. I mean, because if you had died in that bed,
out.
I wouldn't be laughing.
Not at first.
I might still be drinking. Not at first.
I was going to say,
you're right.
Yeah, not at first. Maybe like 2 years later, you're like, dude, there were like 12 limeritas under that dude's fucking bed. That would probably not be. No, I don't know.
I don't know if I would bring that up at
the
funeral, Jerry, but
No,
I don't know that I would be sober if you had not gotten out first.
Yeah.
It's very possible that I would still be drinking if you had died in the bed of limeritas.
Maybe that would have been your wake-up call, like, God damn.
That's
you never
true.
know. But you never know. But you know what? I love the way you said we made it out, and that's why we can laugh about it. Because we're like, did you just see all that shit we stepped in? Like, we just tracked it all over the fucking house in our car. Like, we got the shit everywhere, but we made it out. We cleaned off, we got the shit kind of cleaned off mostly. And we can laugh about it now,
And I think it's a huge benefit to me, and it's. I can't. Yeah, I can't imagine we made it out, and that's one of the biggest. That's the reason why I can laugh about it, and that's that's the perspective
like, out there in the world. Like everybody listening, like your suffering isn't funny to me, but my suffering is hilarious to me sometimes.
Right?
Because I'm just like, how the fuck did I do that? Like, how did I make it out even in the first place? Amazes me.
What was I thinking? Yeah,
and it wasn't my masculinity that got me out. See, I gotta loop it back around again.
But yeah, no, Jerry, you're right, and I agree that I wouldn't laugh at anybody's suffering. I mean, quite the opposite.
Yeah, and so I know you wouldn't. You're not a dick, dude.
But except my own, because that's our shared suffering.
Our shared suffering, yeah. Exactly, and we have a lot of shared suffering. So
I keep thinking. You said limerita, and I'm just real quick. There was a time Jerry lived in this apartment. We both lived in an apartment complex, and I think you had for some reason the only things that were in the fridge were a bottle of Bacardi, like 151. There was that big tub of margarita mix that was like frozen margarita mix. And then there was some ruby red squirt, which I don't even know if they still make that stuff.
No.
But it was like bright red, ruby red squirt. And you had just purchased, like, somehow you got this, like, shelf system you wanted to build.
Yes.
So I don't.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
I know where this is going.
So we put the 151 into the margarita mix and we threw it in the freezer, and then you had like these weird sort of like ice cream sundae cups. And some bendy straws for whatever reason.
Were they baseball helmets? No,
I don't know what they were, but they were. So we put the 151, the margarita mix, and the ruby red squirt. This is long before I was a bartender, obviously, and we called them fancy lads because they were just these fancy drinks, and we proceeded to try and put the shelf together. Which
the shelf didn't get built.
No.
The shelf didn't get built, and then but I probably called someone crying.
But I just remember that as far as
fancy lads,
the ridiculousness of what we were, the things we were not achieving.
There's no fucking refinement in there whatsoever, right? And so, like, even in the media and like they want to portray to you as this refined, glamorous thing, and there was none of that.
Don Draper,
absolutely none of it. We were not Don Draper. We were like no one. I don't know who
it was
we
like
were.
Don Knotts.
Don Knotts, exactly. It was a goddamn shit show, And it never started with refinement. I never was like, I feel more... Well, no, that's bullshit. There were times I drank and I was like, I feel more glamorous right now. I have this sense of glamour. And and I feel more like a cool fucking man dude or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we were two fucking dorks drinking, and the fucking margarita mix I stole from an ex-girlfriend out of her freezer. I just took it. I was
Right?
like, this is mine now.
So
She's
it's
like,
just,
there's no alcohol in that, and I'm like, I don't fucking care.
and this is the same place. And speaking of non-refinement, I remember coming over one time and I was opening the fridge looking for a beer or something, and the light was out in the fridge, and I was like, "What's up, guys? You don't have a light bulb for the fridge?" And Jerry's like, "What do you think this is? The Ritz?"
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, well played. All right, we'll go ahead and just who needs a light?
Do
in the
what we
fridge?
do and get the flashlight out of the fucking
Drawer or whatever.
Yeah, out of the drawer next to it.
But-
Don't eat those eggs.
Don't eat those eggs.
Yeah.
And then one of the last ones that was on this list was, well, they talk about controlling women, which I think, regardless of the gender that you are, or there's this idea of, people always say, they talk about taking a hostage, and so being in relationships, and you're like, well, and that was my first hostage, and that was my second hostage, and so I would, I think definitely, as this list that we're talking from, is obviously about supposedly, straight masculine males, but
right.
when you're trying to control somebody in a relationship, I think that is another sign of masculine, right? So it's about controlling the things in your life, the people in your life, and so
I mean, that's just abusive at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and that's a symptom of toxic masculinity, is being abusive to someone,
So
using that as a ply. Yeah.
that was one thing too, that it, unfortunately, it took me until, recovery to learn, like, what a real relationship is supposed to be.
Right.
And I would ask you, only because, you've been with your wife for a while now, and
10 years in May.
That's
I've been married for 10 years. Yeah.
Wow.
So she was there through all the boozing. Yeah.
And your relationship, I mean, how would you characterize it before and after, as far as, like, I'm not saying that you were in control of her or any way, but there was a level of...
We just talked about this last night. It's so funny you asked this question, because I was comparing myself now to then, and because we had our daughter's birthday party yesterday. She turned 9, and I was like, well, everything went great. This happened, that happened. I was like, I didn't black out, because like her first 3 birthday parties, I fucking blacked out by the end of them. And then we started kind of talking about me drinking and me not drinking, and I said, well, I'm not as much of an asshole. I'm just a different asshole. And she's like, no, dude, you were a huge asshole, and now you're not an asshole at all. Like, sometimes you can be difficult, but I wouldn't say you were an asshole now. So that's changed a lot. Our dynamic has changed a lot. I don't blame, when I drank, I blamed her for everything. Everything was her fault. So anything bad that happened in my life, I had to make these huge stretches to make it, like, attached to her, and why I married her and why this is all fucked up is because of you, or what you did, or something you told me, And I realize now that, like, if something goes wrong, it just goes wrong. Or maybe it was a mistake I made, or maybe very rarely it was a mistake she made, and who cares? Like, we just have to fix the problem, not sit there and point fingers at who made the problem,
Yeah.
So that's changed a lot between us. And our talks now, because we talk a lot. Like, we'll just sit and talk. Like, we have these hours long conversations at times. When I drank, it was a lot of circular talking, repeating myself.
Yes.
And she was just such a good sport. She'd just sit and listen to it. And then eventually it would turn into self-loathing. And then I'd go farther into self-loathing, and I just, like, wanted to die. Like, I just hated myself and wanted to kill myself. And this woman who, like, loves me is looking at me do this shit, like, beat myself up, and she's just, it affected her. And I don't feel those ways. I don't hate myself. So me not hating myself has affected the way I treat her. Absolutely. It's a lot more positive now, but peaks and valleys, right? Every relationship, you're going to run your life with another person, like, run in tandem with another person. You're going to take breaks. You're going to run faster. You're going to, that's the way I try to look at it, is like, we're both in this life doing shit kind of at the same pace. She'll run off course and do her thing, and I'll kind of, you know what I mean? I look at it more like that now, instead of a struggle between us both, where I'm pulling her, she's pulling me, Yeah.
You mean together? You're pulling together, not away from each other.
Yeah. Or like that I'm taking up her slack, or she's taking up my slack, you know, because in my mind, for some reason, I picture us both running this journey, this marathon. And when I was drinking, it was like, I need to pull your fucking slack all the fucking time. Or if I fell down, like, I'm speaking all metaphors again, but if I fell down on this marathon, this is your fault somehow, because I have to pull your slack. Or it would go the complete 180 and be like, oh, you have to pull my slack. I'm a failure. I'm not worth shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And now I look at it as both, we don't, you know, it's not really pulling slack. I'm just adding, if she's missing something, I add to it. And if I'm missing something, she adds to it, you know, like metaphorically, she'll throw me a Gatorade or something. I don't know, you know, like fucking, you know, so that's the way I try to look at it. Like, we're both doing this together now for as long as we can. So let's just fucking do it, you know?
I agree 100%. I mean, that's exactly how I look at things right now in my relationship, is that I go, well, I'm here to be strong. If there's ever an instance where you're weak or you need something, I want to be able to give that to you and support you in that way, because I can't wait for you to get back up here with me, you know, because I love it when we're when we're doing the same thing. And if I'm weak and I'm hurt and I need help, or I need solace in some way, like, I look to you and I say, hey, do you have a minute? Because I really want to get back up to your level, so that we can have a good time again, you know, because that's what it's about. So,
and that's the nature of a healthy relationship.
Ding.
You know what I'm saying? Ding.
Yes.
At least my perception of a healthy relationship. I don't know if anybody else has an opinion on it. I'd love to hear it, and not in a mean way, like, you know.
Not in a mean way, please.
Oh, and be
I'm
mean,
sensitive.
I guess it's the internet. Yeah, I'm sensitive. People are mean on the internet too.
They are. The internet is a very mean place sometimes.
I fucking hate it most of the time. And here we are making a podcast for it.
But yeah, and one of the other things I wanted to ask you about is risk-taking behaviors.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of us, right?
And in particular, how did you take the moment when you broke your leg? Like, did you spin that at all? Did it make you feel, was there any sort of level of masculinity, or did you feel any sort of, like, was it a badge of anything?
Nah, that was just misadventure. No, I got teased for it. The fucking EMTs teased me for it while they were fucking putting an air cast on me. But no, for me, it wasn't necessarily a masculine thing. I was really ashamed of that, actually. I was embarrassed the way I jumped out of a window drunk one night, and not in a sad way, like in a funny way. Like, look, I can jump out of my townhouse second-story window, and I landed like a fat drunk guy and shattered the shit out of my leg. And now it doesn't necessarily embarrass me. I'm like, use me as a lesson, you know. But when it happened, it was, so I guess it was in a sense masculinity, in the sense that it hurt my ego. That you know what I mean? That I was like, I don't know. Maybe in my own mind, I was like, God, I'm such a pussy. I can't even jump out a window right. You know, like. Yeah, but that's also a lot of the self-loathing.
Yeah,
that came with my alcoholism. But there was definitely risk-taking behavior. I didn't take that risk though, because I'm like, yeah, I'm a man. I was just like, I'm a funny, pokey dude, and I'm gonna fucking jump out the window and scare everyone, or do whatever I thought I was gonna do. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of stupid stuff. Like, I mean, when you think about driving drunk, and stealing street signs, and just a lot of it was, well, I don't want to miscategorize driving drunk as misadventures, but there was some serious like there were a lot of things that I did that could have had some serious consequences to it, as far as, you know, but there was that certain level of like, I can handle this, you know, coming back to the idea of handling your booze, handling your liquor, handling the wheel of a, you know, fucking motor vehicle.
Yeah.
Handling, you know, not getting busted, handling not getting caught, handling all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I'm just I can handle so much more now without it.
Well, yeah, you get pulled over now and you're like, I'm fine, honestly. I just hit a skunk, that's all, you know.
You know, and it's like, I'm over here and getting the taxes together, and I like met with an accountant, you know. Like, I did it all proper, and just things like that where those things would have been inconceivable 5 years ago.
Oh, God, no. Yeah, that would have been a shitload of work. Who's going to
know?
do that? You have like a dry erase board behind you with the schedule on it. That would have never happened while you were drinking.
No, it wouldn't have.
It'd be in your closet. You would have bought it. You just would have like slid it between two polyester shirts and left it.
You would have bought it drunk at Target one day with this grand plan. No, we couldn't even get it together to have a trash can at that place.
No,
just that
you
little.
And I couldn't even hang up 2 IKEA shelves.
That little, It was just a Lucky's bag hanging on the doorknob of underneath the sink.
It really was.
So
it was definitely not the Ritz.
I just want to say, I think in closing that, whether or not it's 2019 or it doesn't matter if you're listening to this and it's 2059. Which would be amazing.
Thank you. I'm probably dead. But
yes.
That's all right. I think I did all right. Yeah, we did all right, though, I think.
I just think that the idea of masculinity, and, Jerry and I were talking about this before we hit record, too, just about the way that the world changes and the way that people perceive things change and the way that, what is normal changes.
Yes, absolutely.
And,
it will always change.
My hope is that, masculinity that the strengths and the power that I can bring are there to support people rather than oppose and, suppress people, my feelings, or any situations,
Right.
Like that strength. And you said you heard something from a podcast about, can you explain the idea of we're not an anchor, or how we see ourselves as an anchor?
Well, it was Sam Harris talking to I can't remember the guy's name, but he's does hospice. And I don't listen to a lot of Sam Harris. I just found this one interesting because it had death in the title, and I'm morbid. So he was basically saying that as human beings, the condition we have is that life is constantly changing around us, and it's always in and out and moving and fluctuating, and there's a lot of flux and wax and wane in it, and for some reason we have this condition where we think we're the only constant in our lives, like life is a stream going around us, and we're this rock in the middle that never changes, where we fail to recognize that we are constantly changing with life. We're getting older, our bodies are changing, our organs are changing, our perceptions of things change. We may have these strong, hard-suited opinions that may never change, but you know what I mean? There are things around it changing, so it's I think it's just unrealistic to think that while things around you are changing, to be adverse to them. I'm not saying embrace everything. If you're uncomfortable with it, find the root of what makes you uncomfortable with it and figure that out. But if everything around you is in constant flux, then what the fuck are you doing staying rigid? Yeah.
That's the core of any recovery, regardless of what your program is. Find out what is irritating you. Find out what the core of what is frustrating you.
Yeah, and address it. You may not be able to fix it, but recognize that shit and keep it in regard.
And I love that idea. And so for me, I hope that if anything, I know that I can change. I can certainly change my drinking behavior, which then changes everything else about
everything
me.
Else, right? Because it was the focus of your behavior in the first place. Yeah.
And as far as manning up, I like to think that I man up every day now and wake up without a hangover and get my exercise in and handle my business and love my partner and my family, and I'm looking forward to whatever kind of fluid changes I myself as a man go through. And so I think those are the things that you handle, the things that I handle. The way that I handle them now define me more than drinking ever did.
Yeah. I don't think about manning up. I think about humanning up.
Ooh, bam.
Bam. There's your soundbite for the fucking Instagram. Human up. Because even the idea of masculinity, in my opinion, it's I don't give a fuck about masculinity. I just want to know what I can do to be a decent person. And it just so happens that, I'm a man. So I guess I can be a decent man, but the idea of masculinity doesn't have to be the shell around which not necessarily my actions are dictated, but I just want to be a good person.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.